Alright, let's put this in some context. I have here a cotton ball. This right here is a marshmallow. How are these two related? Well, you'd probably say they're not, but they actually are. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Ken Johnson. So today I've been trying to work on something that was a mechanism to hold my secret scent. And I've been playing with some different chemicals, compounds, where you want to call them. And I think I'm left with more questions than answers. Okay, let's do a little science experiment. So I've got 2 cups, so this is first cup, and we're going to put some gelatin in here. Alright, so just so you understand, gelatin is measured by weight, not by volume. In America we use volume. So I took 2 packages of gelatin and poured it into a bag. This is leftover. I just put 1 tablespoon of gelatin into this cup. Alright, now I'm going to put 3 tablespoons of regular tap water into this cup. Actually, I went ahead and added in 3 more tablespoons of water. And I just got me a stick to stir it up because this will need to hydrate. And I'm going to give this overnight to hydrate. So I just wanted it to have enough moisture to do what it's supposed to do. I don't want there to be any complications. I'm not that concerned about the amount of moisture for this process. I'm more concerned about it being fully hydrated and incorporating all the liquid it can possibly incorporate so that we do the next step of the polymer building after the hydration step is over with. Alright, gelatin is wrapped up in some plastic wrap and marked on top what it is. Now it's time for the next component. This right here is guar gum. It's used as a thickening agent for a lot of your cold products, so ice creams, low fat or no fat, heavy whipping creams, things of that nature. It has the ability to expand multiple times its size, so it'll expand about 40 times its size in water, as I understand it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it and do the same thing. 1 tablespoon of guar gum to 6 tablespoons of water. As you can see here, this stuff is thick. I've always been impressed by this. It comes from a special type of legume, and it just absorbs so quick. It doesn't like heat though. So what we're going to do is cover this up, label it, and we're going to let this sit overnight. It doesn't need that much time to hydrate. In fact, it's going to be very, very dry compared to the gelatin. But this is going to be melted into gelatin. You'll see that process. Alright, so what we have here is a small pot of water, and I've got a clear glass bowl here. And what I'm going to do is add 2 tablespoons of water and let this get warmed up as this water is trying to boil. Next we have our gelatin. You can see in here all that water has been absorbed and it's gelled out. That water's coming up to a boil, so we want to reduce it down to a simmer. Now we're just adding in a little bit of the gelatin at a time to this warmed up water that we got going in our base. A little tip: the smaller the pieces, the better off you are. It'll melt down faster, but just as one piece starts melting down, you can add the other. You're just trying to make sure that it all gets melted. Just as soon as the last bit of gelatin is melted, you need to take this immediately off the water. You really ideally don't want this getting any hotter than about 180 degrees. Ideally you would want it to be in the 175 range, but as long as it's melted, that's the main thing, because now we got to add in the guar gum, and the guar gum is extremely heat sensitive. I put this glass bowl and little protector thing right here, and we have our guar gum. So we're going to go ahead and chop this up and put it into the hot liquid and stir it around. Now, if you have a blender or anything, this would be a good time to jizz it up just to help out that guar gum to melt in. So what I'm going to do is take my stick blender and get this going good. Here we go with the blender. Now I will say, if you put this in a glass that the blender will fit into, it does a lot better. It does spurt and squirt stuff. I'm going to add this back to our heat just because there's some pieces that are not wanting to melt. It's getting too cool. Ideally, you should make sure that you let your chemicals come to room temperature. I didn't do that, so I'm having to heat this up just a little bit. Again, this is an experiment. This isn't, so you're seeing my failures. Okay, I'm going to add in 8 more tablespoons of water. Again, I'm noticing clumps. I'm going to jizz this up with the blender. Alright, you'll notice that this has changed considerably because of using the blender and adding more water. The guar gum, it just was not able to absorb the water in a timely fashion without breaking down. So now it's mixing in better with the gelatin. So that was a good thing to do, and also adding moisture allowed this to not spurt as much. You just kind of want to turn that immersion blender just a little bit at an angle so that it can get some type of vortex action going on. Alright, this now looks almost like melted plastic in a way. The next step is we're going to add in our scent. This right here is our scent. It's McCormick's Pure Anise Extract. You need to make sure it's not the star anise, but the regular anise. And this is a 2-ounce bottle. You can pick it up for about $5 at Walmart. Alright, just added in 4 tablespoons of the extract. Now we need to jizz this up with the immersion blender. As soon as you add in the extract, you'll notice a reaction happening where it actually thickens up. I've added 4 tablespoons of water. See if this will help. I'm adding in 4 tablespoons of water. I've noticed the more water I add, the thicker it gets. And so I'm just going to do 2 cups. So we're just going to go straight to 2 cups water. And what I have here are some sponges. These are just cheapo cellulose sponges. I think I got them at Dollar Tree. I rinsed the chemicals out of them. So you gotta rinse them out real good and then let them dry. And I went ahead and cut them into, this was 2 sponges. 1 sponge I cut into 8 pieces. So these are roughly about 1 inch or so by just a little less than 1 inch. More or less. Anyway, cut them up into 8 equal pieces, and they're roughly about 1 inch by 1 inch, and let them dry overnight. And so you can see how compacted they become. I'm going to stick these in to absorb. So in they go. Alright, so I'm going to let these sit for a little bit over this double boiler, and I'll be back probably in about 15 minutes or so. While that's soaking, I figured I'd go ahead and unroll some cotton balls, and we'll get them soaking as well. I'm using cheap Equate Walmart brand cotton balls. On these cheap cotton balls, there's an end, and you just kind of tug at it, and you'll see that's just kind of rolled. And so what we're going to do is find the end and unroll them. Alright, you can see how these unroll. I'm going to add these in. Just kind of lattice these on, push them down. Well, that didn't go as planned. Have to poke them in individually. It's too thick, or it's getting too thick. This stuff is behaving so weird, so strange. Alright, we'll just have to adjust. Thought I was going to be smart. Only 2 things wrong what I just said. I thought. Oh well, we'll get there. Alright, so here's the sponges and the rolled out cotton balls. There's some more rolled out cotton balls. I even soaked a couple were actually 3 cotton balls just to see what they did. They started trying to come apart, which I thought was kind of interesting. I had a shop towel that I soaked, just a white junk shop towel that you buy in bulk from like Home Depot and Lowe's. And then I've got some leftover. I want to see how it forms as a film, as a tape, and see how that does. Might be something where I might get like some medical gauze or something like that and just kind of do like a lattice like I was trying to do with the cotton and pour this in. Again, this is just an experiment. This is us having fun, so we'll see how this works. Now it's time for it to dry. Alright, I've got a fan blowing on these. These have been going for 11 hours. I took my fingers and kind of pressed it down so that it would dry up a little bit faster. Some more here and more over here. This is fan setup I have on the table. Now, admittedly, had I known that it was going to react the way it did, I probably would have added probably 8 tablespoons, if not more, of the anise extract. You can see how it's drying out and getting white, so what I'll probably do is add a few drops of extract after I cut them up. But what I'm thinking about doing is taking this cotton stuff and using it as a base to tie some jigs. And so if you want to see that, please put that in the comment, give this video a like, and I'll do that. Maybe, what, a week, 2 weeks, video every day of me tying a new jig using this scented bait? What do you think? Alright, so you can see that it's already kind of dried up. Here's a piece that's dried. Real paper thin. There's no anise smell, which is kind of what I wanted. I wanted this polymer to actually kind of grab on and then seal up the anise, so when I'm fishing it, it kind of repels water a little bit, and then as it absorbs, it releases the smell, and then it can be recharged. Now this right here didn't have a lot of anise, and so next thing to do is see if it can be charged up. This right here is a little bit tacky. The paper backing, it does better. Even though it's parchment paper, it still wicks, and so it does a little bit better than the aluminum foil. This is the aluminum foil right here, but I've got this on my kitchen table, and so I didn't have enough sheet trays because I made more than what I thought I was going to need due to that weird reaction. And so these right here are still very, very wet because there's not a lot of airflow underneath them to help with evaporation like with the paper. So I've got a little plate here with some of the 3 dry. What I'm going to do is see how well it charges. So I'm going to put a few drops of the anise on each one of these strips and see how well it absorbs the anise and reacts. I do want to make a critique of McCormick. So this is the 2-ounce bottle, and this is a 1-ounce bottle of the another scent. But the 1-ounce bottles have a little cap where you can drip out what you want. This you have to pour out. I wish McCormick would have one that you can drip out for the bigger bottles, but they don't. They only do it for the 1-ounce, not the 2-ounce. So that's a critique that I wish McCormick would change something about it. Because this right here is a lot better than having to pour out. Alright, we're going to put some of this on here. Again, it'd be a lot easier if I had a little dripper bottle. But I don't, because McCormick's McCormick and not won't do what they're supposed to do. Make things easy for the user. Love their products, but man, a little common sense goes a long way, guys. Alright, that's soaking through on some areas. I'm going to go ahead and flip them over and do them on the other side. Alright, so what I've found with this so far is that when I kind of break up the fibers a little bit better before I put the anise on, it soaks it up. But if you don't, it kind of resists, which is kind of neat. I like that. It doesn't get tacky though. So that means that it's resisting the water, which is something I'm wanting, but it's holding on and absorbing, which is also pretty cool. So I'm wanting to see how these react versus the others that are not treated, but I gotta get the others dried out first. Oh my God. Got a squirrel and the bird feeder that's on our window. Look at that. Just looking at us, just eating away, not even worried.
It held up to a squirrel.
Yep. There's pretty good suction cups on that thing. For experiment number 2, we're going to try out a different process. So this right here is a regular packet of gelatin. It is 1/4 of an ounce, and when you figure that out in measurements, it's just shy of being 1 3/4 tablespoons. Then this right here is Sure Gel. It's 1 3/4 ounces. Then we got our guar gum, and what I'm going to do is 1 teaspoon, so 1/3 of a tablespoon in guar gum powder. Alright, so in a coffee mug I've got 1 cup of water, and what I'm going to do is lightly, I mean very lightly, sprinkle the granules of gelatin in there so that it can start absorbing and hydrating. Alright, what you can see here is I'll pour just a little bit of the packet, and I still got a ton left, and it'll form a skin. Then after it forms a skin, I've got me a plastic knife, and I just swirl it up, and it'll sink, and then I'll keep repeating this. Okay, that right there is all stirred up. That's just 1 cup of cold water, tap water, and 1 packet of gelatin. We're just going to stir it up and put it off to the side and start the next part. My church gave me this cup. I like it. It has front side, and then it has the verse in it, and I just like it. It's a really cool cup. This is what we're going to put our guar gum in. Now, guar gum, we're going to do it just like we did our gelatin. This is 1 cup of water, and we're just going to lightly put a little bit on top and keep stirring until it starts dissolving and sinking to the bottom. And then we'll just let it sit for a few minutes. Now, because it is a gum powder that loves water, it's hard to get it where it doesn't clump into pieces. So as it absorbs, I just start stirring, but it's a slower process because you can see how compact this gets very easily. Now if I had a little micro sieve, I would actually put it in the micro sieve, but I don't have a sieve that small. Alright, what I have here is a 1/2 cup of water that I've allowed to heat up. Now I'm going to stir in our gelatin mixture. In all transparency, I messed up. I was supposed to put the pectin in first because it needs a higher heat, but we'll go ahead and add the pectin now. And you just kind of want to do like you did the other and just kind of put it on top and stir it a little bit as it absorbs. Don't want any clumps, anything of that nature. So let's talk about the theory of this one. Pectin has a sort of acidic taste to it, and when a bait fish gets injured, what happens is that they put off an acid, pretty much lactic acid. And so I am hoping that this acidic element will make a fish that's already attracted to the anise think that the acid is a injured bait fish. Now, one of the things I want to mention is that the whole point of this is to have something that will gel and then dry up real hard and then slowly release anise scent into the water over time, so that you have long action bait using scent. But at the same time, we're going to put some anise on top of it to have an immediate release. That's the theory behind it, and once I get done with this, I want to have something I could recharge over and over and over again. Because if I do my own jigs and we do that video, I want you to have something, if you make those jigs, that will last you for a while as scented, and you can just keep recharging it, because it should take months of use before a lot of this will be gone out of your bait. Alright, I temp this at 167. I like around 170, so I'm thinking that's close enough. One thing I hate about Sure Gel is that it foams up really bad, and that foam never really goes away. So you can't really skim off all of it. You do the best you can do. I'm just going to leave it though for this experiment. I just wanted to show you this. This is consistency of catfish slime. It is super thick. It's got some clumps in it. I can't do anything about that, but we'll juice it up with the immersion blender, and that will fix that part. But we'll go now and put this into our hot liquid. And it goes. It's blender time, y'all. Alrighty. Got a lot of air going on there, but all in all right now it's doing pretty good. Made a little bit of mess splattered everywhere, but that always happens. This right here is where the experiment got haywire last time. I'm going to put 4 tablespoons of anise extract in this. You see some reaction taking place, but we're going to stir this up, see what happens. But yeah, it's already trying to react. Time for a little blendy. Okay, that did very well. Didn't seize up or anything. Just blended into a very thick consistency. Almost somewhere between sour cream and heavy whipping cream. Alright, you should know the drill by now. Last time I had a blue sponge, I went to Dollar Tree and got me a green sponge. That way I can tell which one's which. I got them on this tray so that they can air dry. Alright. I have unrolled my cotton balls, and now we're going to put them into the liquid. As we said before, there's no elegant way of doing this. We just poke them in, and then they will absorb. So that's what we're doing. Like with the sponges, you just want to make sure you keep poking this down so that any air bubbles in the cotton, that they go and absorb this liquid. I'm going to make a hypothesis here. I think that when I test out the blue versus green sponges, that the blue will get crushed and the green will not. And so my theory is that the solution I have here is too acidic because of the pectin. That's the reason why I didn't want to really do the pectin. But I had to test out the hypothesis. I might have been able to get away with a 1/4 to a 1/2 teaspoon or tablespoon, and it might work. But some fish are very, they don't like acid. That's what I'm trying to get to. And so I don't know if this is going to work, but I think that the blue sponges will get crushed. The green ones, if they get crushed, that'll be surprising to me. I'm also not smelling as much anise. Now, my wife said she can smell anise, but I think that's from where I put it into the hot liquid. I'm not smelling anise on this solution, so that also has me concerned. I want to make mention of something that I thought was very strange. As I was pulling out the cotton, it was starting to tear apart and break apart very easily. It's almost like this was dissolving the cotton. So that's another issue to be aware of with this one. I wasn't expecting that with this experiment, that the cotton would start being dissolved by this solution, but that's what it's acting like. It's acting like it's being dissolved. These last few pieces of cotton that were on the bottom that stayed the longest, they were almost completely dissolved. And when I put the cotton balls in there to get the rest of the liquids out, what I noticed is that the cotton balls were trying to unravel, dissolve, and I even noticed that the liquid started getting like a jelly. It was starting to gel with the cotton, so whatever it was reacting with the cotton was making it want to gel even more as it was eating away at the cotton. This is so strange, but that's the reason why I love doing experiments. You never know what you're going to get. Okay, I've got these laid out. I've got a sheet, little rack underneath them so that they'll dry better. I put a fan blowing over them like I did last time. But this stuff right here, these fibers are trying to fall apart. They're just jelly goo. And the more liquid I take off of them, the more comes out of them. It's just gooey and breaking down. Even the cotton balls are trying to break down on me. It's just really weird. They're a little bit better than this, but I didn't soak the cotton balls for a long time. They soaked a little bit longer, which leads me to believe that if I hadn't took those out when I did, they'd probably be gooey too. So I've never had any type of, just look at that. That right there is just coming apart. Just absolutely just coming apart. I mean, that's like nothing, which is weird. I got this one right over here. It's trying to do that. It's all trying to come apart. But anyway, I've got this drying. I don't know how it's going to dry, but this is getting a little bit more air, more circulation, so it's drying faster. But I mean, I can feel the fibers now, but we're going to see how this works, see what's going on. I've also reached out to Sure-Gel. I let them know that this pectin was out of date. It expired back in 2011. I had it with some of my experimental stuff, so I was just using it. So I need to let y'all know that it was out of date, way out of date. But pectin shouldn't be dissolving cotton strands, so I don't know what happened. But we'll find out. Let's talk about this for a moment. If you look at this, you'll notice that it is paper thin. Like you could read a newspaper through some of this. I did reach out to Sure-Gel, which if you don't know about Sure-Gel, it's a brand. It's owned by Kraft Food, Heinz. They're all basically under the same umbrella. And so Kraft Heinz responded. Because I asked, I was like, what's the science behind this? It blew me away. And they answered the same day I emailed back, and they was like, we don't know. They was like, we don't have any data on that, we don't know. Which I thought was, the way they worded it was a lot more polite than the way I'm putting it. They were super polite, super responsive, blew me away. So that had me doing a deep dive into cotton. And if you hadn't seen my review of Fioboc shirts, you know I can get in some deep dives and I get pretty geeky about stuff. And I did one about cotton, so I already had some knowledge of this. Plus we grow cotton in this area of Florida. Anyway, there's been a serious debate in science about cotton and whether or not it has pectin in it. And there are scientists say that it is a mixture of pectin with cellulose, and then others are saying that cotton is just cellulose and that the pectin degrades into salt. Well, from this experiment, it would seem that the reason why it was dissolving with the pectin, is that there was pectin in the cotton. and that pectin just kind of merged with it, and that it lost its rigidity. So that's kind of interesting to me that we got that. So I thought it was really cool. I just wanted to share with you that, which means that it's got super thin because what pectin was in it, that's the reason why it was getting thicker. That pectin was coming out of it, so I thought that was extremely interesting. Alright, let's put this in some context. I have here a cotton ball. This right here is a marshmallow. How are these two related? Well, you probably say they're not, but they actually are. So a cotton ball, which I'll put its Latin name here, Gypsopodium something other, I'll put it in there. That's for common cotton. There's another one, Pima cotton, Egyptian cotton, all that it's a different type of Gypsopodium. I'll put that there as well. So there's a bunch of different types of cotton out there. But all in all cotton is in the mallow family. Well, marshmallows, they're just gelatin and sugar, right? Well, they are now, but back 200 BC, the Egyptians, they were taking marshmallow plant root and making confections with them. Confections for their gods. And then in the 18th century, you started seeing, 18th, 19th century, you started seeing the French, because they spent a lot of time in Egypt, and they were over in that area doing a lot of stuff, and they learned all these tricks, and so they started making confection with the marshmallow root. And that is where we get the marshmallow. Over time, we stopped using the marshmallow plant, the root, that was sweet and full of possibly pectins to make it thick, and we switched over to gelatin. Ironically, if you watch Yacht, David Ellis, he's a well-known YouTuber, and recently he was having to trap hogs that were eating cotton. That's right, they were actually eating the bowl or the fruiting bodies of the cotton plant and destroying a cotton field harvest. So this right here is related to the distant ancestor of this, or actually the plant that this modern day confection is named after. Well, we're finally on the water. I actually talked to a nice gentleman. Two gentlemen came up. One of them was fishing at the boat ramp. The other one was just kind of watching. We kind of shared some stories, some issues. He ended up subscribing, which I really do appreciate that. I never did catch your name. I apologize. I'm normally good about asking people's names. But if you're watching this, I really do appreciate you, and I enjoyed our conversation. Alright, right there is a gator. He just went under. There's been about a 6-foot gator's been living in this area. So, been trying to catch him on camera for y'all, but he's just being a little bit difficult. Alright, so let's discuss what we're working with today. If you'll remember, we got the blue, which is the guar gum and gelatin with anise. And this right here is the guar gum, anise, and gelatin and pectin. Alright, so green is the Trinity, blue is Duo. Now I will say that I did add a few drops of anise on all these, and this right here has stayed soft the whole time. So it's been like that for the whole time. These have been hard. I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know if that's a good thing, a bad thing. Doesn't matter. I don't know. We're gonna find out. So I'm gonna put these on bush hooks. I'll show you some B-roll footage of that, and then we'll be off to another spot, and I might hold back a little bit and do another spot. I've been wanting to try another spot a little bit more upriver. I never fished it before, so I don't know. But I'm figuring I'll probably put out maybe 6 here, and I've got some of the anise chicken, what I called the secret bait in that catfish video, if you remember it. So I'm gonna probably get some braid and tie up that chicken, because we were getting robbed every single time. I'm not saying we're not gonna get robbed this time, but I'm gonna try to make it a little harder for the thieves. You understand me? So there's a guy that he made a comment. I'm pretty sure he was joking, talking about mixing it with dough and cattail fluff. That wouldn't work around here. Now it might work with mullet though. I might try that though. So even though I think he was joking, I do appreciate the comment. I do. And even if you were joking, I'm probably going to use that for mullet one day. The cattails haven't yet got to where I can get the fluff out of them yet. We're a few months, or actually about a month away from that. But it's drawing near. But right now there's some areas in here that we got some logs and stuff that block them away, so I can't go where I normally put out. But I got some areas around here I'm put out, and I'm just going to show the B-roll footage, put these out as soon as I can. We're going to blast to the next spot, do the same thing, and then blast to the next spot and do the other. But I should have enough to do 6 here, 6 there. That's 12. And then I've got 4 that I can do at the other, not counting the chicken bait. So I'm still well within my 25 hook limit per Florida law, because you're only allowed to have 25 hooks out at any single time. So you can have a trot line, and if that trot line has 25 hooks, that's your set for your entire trip. Or you can do bush hooks. So there we are. I'll be back in a second. Well, guys, I didn't realize that the camera had fell over. It had rained. See that log right there? That log used to not be there. That's actually from another part of this area where I saw the big spider last catfishing video, the secret bait video. There was a like a 3 to 4 inch spider on a log, and I was talking about, well, that's the log, it broke off. And that's why I used to always tie on to. So when I was tying on stuff, I was like, where's my freaking log? Anyway, so yeah, it stormed the minute I started putting out lines. And I don't know exactly where the camera fell over at, but it almost went overboard, which I would have been sad. But yeah, you know, I was just thanking God this morning about, you know, thank you for this opportunity. There was herons that were flying up in the air. There was small birds that looked like schools of fish. You know, there's old motto, as above, so below. And I was just like, man, like right now there's some ducks flying overhead. I love this. It's getting back to creation. And when everything is wrong in my life, this is how I recharge my batteries. I get back to where everything is right. It's in right order. It is doing what it's supposed to do, unlike man. And I'm talking about the church just as much as talking about secular world. I don't normally talk about religion, but when I get into the woods, when I get on the water, I feel like I'm recharging my batteries. I'm getting back to where things are right and are doing what they're supposed to do. And I'm a part of that system. It's welcoming. And I try to obey the rules as much as I can. Knowing that I'm going to go home and I won't be living in this. I'm going to be in a house, air conditioned and everything else. And so when I was thanking God for everything, I'm about to set out lines and it storms. Now most people would start cursing God, saying, "What are you doing? This is wrong." That's when you thank Him harder. Because one of the old timers used to tell me, he said, the best time to go fishing is right after a storm. In fact, if you can be in the storm and it be in the tail end and put out lines, you know, right after it storms, that's the best time. That's when the catfish bite. Now, I'm not saying that catfish are going to bite, because I don't have the best bait for catfish. I've got experiments going on today. I've got 3 videos. 2 of them are experiments, and one of them is a cast net video where I had to do some repairs, and I'm going to show you that in a future video. So I'm not like hardcore fishing today. I'm not out just to get meat. I'm playing around. But if something bites, wonderful. If something don't bite, just as wonderful. I'm here. It rained. Okay, so what? I'll dry off. I'm not going to let one event that I consider to be bad color what I consider my day to be. So don't, just because you have a bad event in your life, don't say you're having a bad event, bad year, bad whatever. And I'm guilty of that. I'll do that. I'm talking that I'm just as guilty as anybody else. But try not to best you can. Don't let it color you. I'm still out on the water. I'm safe. No harm done. It may actually help me. Sometimes what you see as a curse is actually a blessing. It's a cycle to train you. It's a cycle to rear you up in the right direction. Take it as a good thing. Try to see the blessings in everything. And if you do that, trust me, as somebody that has been hypercritical most of my life and judgmental and everything else, all the nastiness that I see in others has been amplified in me multiple times. If you'll just see the blessings and say thank you, you'll come out better on the other end. Sometimes that curse is actually a blessing. It's getting you to where you can do your best. I've seen it with my mediation, where I'm able to talk about my problems and what I had to go through so that I could relate to the other parties, because they had a similar situation. I've seen it with my fishing and hunting, where I screwed up and I learned a lesson to where I don't do it again. So that's all I'm saying. Ha ha ha, just kidding. So when I created this bush hook system, I only did 16. I said to myself that, first said self, and self said, huh? I'll never put out my legal limit in a night, because it's going to be a pain getting them all up. And this comes from many years of fishing with Ricky and everything. We'd put them out and get them up, and he wouldn't even set out all those lines that he's allowed. So I never did do 25 because I never was expecting to do bush hooks during the day. But now that I'm a YouTuber, daytime is the best time for GoPro because GoPro has sucky low light shooting capabilities. I'm trying to get away from GoPro, but until I can, this is what I got. And my cell phone camera is the same way. It doesn't shoot very well in the dark. I am hoping to be getting some night vision cameras in the near future, but they probably will not be the best quality because I can't afford good quality right now. But I'm hoping for that for maybe some future hunts and things of that nature. So as I get the money, I'm going to upgrade my equipment. But for right now, that means I've got 3 hooks, and I got that new spot. So I'm going to put 1 blue, 1 green, and 1 chicken. This spot here, I put out 2 blue, 2 green, 1 chicken. So every spot will have at least 1 chicken. The first spot has 2 chicken. And the first spot actually has 3 blue, 3 green, 2 chicken. So we're gonna see how this works. Well guys, this has been a interesting trip thus far. I've got planned to do 3 videos today, different elements of fishing, so that I can do all these on one trip. And in the process of doing this, I forgot my phone charger, and so I said, no worries, my big flashlight that I use, my spotlight that I use all the time, it'll work. Well, either I didn't put the spotlight in the boat, or it fell overboard when the camera almost went overboard. Either way, I don't have a charger and my phone is dead. I don't even know what time it is. So I'm just going to continue fishing. So if you watched the catfish sponge test where I did the guar gum and gelatin versus guar gum, gelatin, pectin, I'm using the anise. I just set out all those lines. So if you watch that video, I'm to that point now. Look at that spider. Wow, that thing is gorgeous. It's got some green and black and white, a little bit of orange in the back, like opalescent orange. Fangs are green. Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Alright, so I just squeezed this. It's got that same feeling I had when it was wet and drying. So that stuff is still in it, it's foamy. It smells still of anise. So it's holding the anise scent. Maybe fish just weren't biting today, I don't know. Or maybe they're not biting at this location. Either way, yeah, the anise, the pectin with the guar gum and gelatin, it didn't do it. Third one for this hole isn't looking good either. This is the blue sponge. Yep, that's blue sponge, but you can see all that stuff, it's still holding on to it. In fact, it's doing better than what the pectin did as far as holding that gelatin guar type deal going. I don't smell the anise though as strong. Guys, I don't know if you can see that, but we got a fast moving storm cloud. I'm gonna go ahead and just take up these lines. If I have something, I'll grab the camera and show you, but right now I'm looking at 4 lines and none of them seem to be bouncing or moving. So I'm gonna say we got nothing, and I'm gonna try to get out of here before these storms hit, cause these clouds don't look good. Oh God, we got lightning popping everywhere. We have some bad rain. Thought I was gonna be able to evade it, but I ain't. Got that wrapped around my head. Anyway, I was gonna show y'all, but I'll do it later. The one chicken bait that I had over here, they ate everything out of it and left the braid. I'll show that to you when we get dried off, but right now I've got to get out of here, make it to the next location safe as I can. I gotta get out of this storm. It's bad. Last spot. Try to get these up as soon as I can and get off the water. This ain't for the weak. I'm still thankful. This one didn't even leave the braid. My goodness. Something to note here. The tree I had this on, it broke. I don't know if it's from the winds or what, but it broke. Now the sponge is still on, so I don't know what happened there. But that rope was cut into the wood too, so I don't know what happened. Maybe a turtle got it, I don't know. But you'd think turtle wood took off the sponge. This is what I was talking about. They're leaving the monofilament, eating all the stuff off of it. So that is a whole piece of chicken breast soaked in anise, and they just ate every last bit of it except for the monofilament. I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, please put in the comment down below what you think I should do. I'm wanting to do a series on lure builds. I've been getting stuff, Halloween supplies, Christmas supplies from the Dollar Tree, different areas, getting ready to do a lure build series, but this mechanism to hold the scent has got me flummoxed, and the more I deal in it, the more questions I get. The pectin thing is not going to work out because it's too acidic. The guar gum issue, I've got to figure out how to get to hold on to the scent. It does everything else well, so I may do some more experimentation with that. I could just do gelatin. That would work. I was just trying to get something that would be a little bit better, be more than just the gelatin. But if you can give me some thoughts, I really would appreciate that. Something else I would really appreciate. So right now I'm a brand ambassador for Fioboc. Fioboc is one to make this shirt. They make a bunch of other clothing, menswear. So underwear, socks, sweaters, shirts, shorts, you name it, they make it. This is one of the best, most comfortable shirts I've ever worn. And so if you go to the link in the description below, use my promo code KENJO882, you'll get 20% off. I'll get a small commission. You'll get the best, most comfortable t-shirts, shorts, sweaters, you name it, menswear that you've ever owned. With that, I want to say thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I went and put our analytics into a special program. It is predicting by next year at this time we'll have about 5,000 subscribers. The following year we will have 10,000. So basically we're doubling every year now. And that is all because of you. So your support, you're liking this, you're commenting, you're being a subscriber, it really does help. You're making a difference in my life and in the life of this channel. I really do appreciate it. So if you like this video, you might like this video right here. There's another video right here you might like down below based off of your view and preferences as another suggestion that YouTube thinks you might like. And the reason why I say that is because this video is over with. Bye.